So welcome back to my channel, My Spectrum Family. Now, I did say that at the end of every video I'll try and keep it positive, and this one's no different. Apart from that, it's been quite a tough week that I'm recording this at the end of. It's been a very long week, and it's been long because Jay hasn't really slept. Leo's been a bit unsettled, and he's just trying to find his way, and how he sleeps in his cot. Imogen, she's been sleeping fine when she goes to sleep, so it's all a bit up the wall as to sleep. Some of the reasons behind this, it's been quite tough for Jaden, especially this week, when we talk about his schooling. He's been very kind of withdrawn and not there, and he looks quite emotionally detached this week. And Anna picks up on this far more than I do, and far better. But kind of once we find out what's up with Jaden, it's quite hard to kind of find the truth, the full story, and what we do next. When we dug down into it, found out Jay was, I want to say bullied, but he was certainly being kind of felt upset and sad and a bit threatened at school by an individual, one of the boys in his class. Now, this has happened previously at his other primary school, and we dealt with it well. I don't think his last primary school was that geared up for Jay and all of Jay's needs, and it took them a lot of time to get there, probably until right at the end of school. And at this time we probably had sort of the best relationship we've ever had with the teachers and his one-to-ones, and this is something we're still trying to establish at this school. One thing we've got to take into account is the fact that it is a school for children with ASD. All the children at the school are all autistic, so it's quite a different proposition to deal with, how all the children interact and deal with each other in their own way, and this is proving quite difficult. So once Anna found out that Jay was having a really tough time, it happened to coincide with parents' evening, but whilst at parents' evening it kind of escalated a little bit more. So whilst Anna was in with the teacher, she saw a physical altercation. She raised it there and then. However, I think the teacher played it down a little bit, which really upset Anna, because we know how hard it is for Jay to kind of confess to us, because he struggles quite a lot with how he expresses things that have happened to him in the day, and they can come out at the strangest times and really out of context in the things that we were discussing at the time. So Anna was really upset that it got dismissed how it was, coupled with the fact that part of his parents' evening this time, they were quite negative. Half his teachers were quite negative about how he behaves and how his sort of physical noises and tics are irritating children in the class. And this really hurt us, because that was the one thing that made him kind of stand out in mainstream primary school, with some of his hand movements and his tics and his sort of obsessive noises. And we thought the one place that he'd kind of be accepted would be a school specifically for autistic children. However, it felt in that instant that even that was kind of being held against him, and to have someone say that Jay's kind of repetitive noise and hand movements are upsetting the other pupils, we can understand, but it can't be helped and it can't be calmed, and when he's told not to do it, it's exasperated, and it becomes ever more so. So we had Anna quite upset this week, we had Jay quite upset, and it took quite a few long conversations with school, some role plays, getting the children to kind of decide on their outcome and their fate and how they should do things together. And to say it took a while for it to calm and settle back to a relative norm would be an understatement. The kick side to this is that it was reflected in Jay's behaviour at home, and it was difficult, and his sleep was awful, and like I said before, he looked really emotionally drained and physically drained. The other side to this story is that Jay has been on antibiotics now for 5 weeks. We've had issues at the hospital, and we don't feel they've dealt with him how we should. He's got ongoing issues which still not to be resolved. The last time we talked about his hospital visit, potentially his procedure made things worse. So it's been very difficult for him. Being on antibiotics is, especially with Jay, the way he's wired, the way his kind of body and his mind are, it really unsettles him, and especially at night time. So it's going to be a whole other video topic, how Jay sleeps, but in brief, he has chronic sleep issues. He rarely sleeps. He gets a main chunk of sleep at the beginning of the night, and then after that it's pocketed, and we may get hours here, a couple of hours there, but anything after 3 o'clock he's most likely to be awake. Now, when he's on antibiotics, it's made 10 times worse, and with him being on antibiotics for 5 weeks, he's virtually not slept. He spent nights on the end of his bed, making noises, rubbing his feet, coming to get us. It's been a really, really tough time, and I think it's reflected in how we are and how we've been this week. It's been hard for everyone, and I think it's really tiring for us, tiring for them, and I suppose it's been difficult for everyone, and kind of all 5 of us, and the 3 children especially. So I suppose this is where it comes to kind of being the positive ending, that I think Leo is kind of just getting on with things. He's just getting amongst it now. He's finding his feet. So every opportunity, he's like lightning across the floor now. He can crawl everywhere, and he's pulling himself up. He started to talk and babble, and the chaos is kind of just happening around him. And I think I'm hoping he's not taking it in, and he's just kind of growing and getting on with things. Now, Imogen and Jay have at times this last week been right at each other, and it's natural for brothers and sisters to do that. They really, really know how to push each other's buttons. I mean, there's no one else like them for stirring it and starting the fire, that's for sure. And they have at times been right at each other, and it's not been helped because I think everyone's been tired and overtired, and small things always cause issues, but small things when everyone's tired have become sort of major issues. But on the other side, we have seen some beautiful things, and there'll be some pictures at the end of this video just to kind of emphasise that you've got to find those little golden moments in the week. So Imi knows when Jay's having a tough time. She really does. Sometimes she'll be understanding and caring, and sometimes she'll egg it. But there's been times this week where softly and quietly she's noticed and she's reflected, and these are the times when she's kind of found some post-it notes and she just left him a little note to say that she loves him, or she's drawn him a picture, and it may seem quite not sad but quite strange and a little bit different, but there was a deflated balloon in the living room, and Imogen had picked on that and wrote "I love you, Jay" on the side, and it's just these little things that she shows she cares, and I think when Jay is receptive of this, it's a real calming influence. When those two are happy and calm and loving, the whole house is very different. And admittedly, some of these were few and far between, but this week I think Imogen really has been clued into how Jay is. She played on it a lot, but has helped diffuse and really soften some of the tougher times, some of the tough experiences that we can all see that Jay has. So yeah, been really tough this last week. Can't lie, and I did say that I'd share both the positives and the flip side on some of the negatives. So we've had a little trouble at school with some of the teachers and with particular people, but hopefully we're riding this particular incident out now. Some poor time Jay's had in relation to his ongoing hospital treatment has been quite a difficult one for all of us to deal with, coupled with his exasperated lack of sleep. It's really been difficult for us. The shining light that we said is how Imogen has managed to kind of recognise some of the difficulties Jay goes through. So beautiful to see, and her way of kind of just letting us know she's thinking of him and letting him know that she loves him is kind of one of the best things to see. So really proud of Imi this week. It's amazing how Jay copes with the world. Leo is growing and developing like no one else, and proud to see how Anna can always get and always sense how Jay's feeling, probably far better than I do and I ever will, and she manages to entice all the things out that sometimes he keeps bottled up, and that's golden. That's absolutely magic. So little glimmer of light and some small positives in what's been a really tough week, but hopefully you can see in some of the pictures how kind of the week ended and how our family kind of pulls together. So slightly different end to this one, a slightly different video to the others, slightly more somber, but just a bit more true to life. So this is me signing off, Nick Chambers from My Spectrum Family, and we'll see you soon.